And now for the moment that you've all been so patiently waiting for. Our keynote this evening is a professor of contemporary Islamic studies and joins us from Oxford University, all the way from London. He's so graciously told me to skip most of his bio in the interest of time, but I do have to just say just a few words. Dr. Tariq Ramadan is one of the seminal thinkers of our lifetime. Like the great intellectuals that preceded him, his scholarship has liberated minds, reinforced core principles, and shaken the very foundation of classical schools with his creativity, sincerity, depth, and of course, his message that we all know, his message of love. I was reminded today that there was a time that we couldn't have this event with this speaker in this great nation. So today we celebrate our continuous reunions and listen eagerly to this extraordinary thinker speak to us on the future of excellence. Please join me in welcoming the great Dr. Tariq Ramadan.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أيتها الأخوات أيها الإخوة أحييكم بتحية الإسلام تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you for this invitation this evening. And it's a pleasure for me to be here to support this project, and I know that you are all committed to this, and if I may just add my voice to what was said and what you heard to support this project and to make it something that could be a leading school in the country, inshallah. Now, having said that and supporting, if you have read some of the books and works that I have been trying to produce over the last 30 years, there is one book that was surprising for many sisters and brothers. When in the book Western Muslims and the Future of Islam, I was taking a position of not supporting or not thinking that the future for us will be Islamic schools in the West. And some of the readers are saying, what are you talking about? Islamic schools are necessary. And what I was explaining in the book is, as a principle, I'm not against. It depends. What do you mean by Islamic school? What do you want to achieve? If it's a school where we come with a very narrow understanding of what is our religion, as I have been traveling around the West and visiting so many schools, when I wrote this, and I still am, I was a bit disappointed by the mindsets behind, which could be understandable as a first step for Muslims living in the West, is to be protective and to try to protect our children. But this is the first step and the first stage in history. When we go from being Muslims in the West to being Western Muslims, and willing it or not, you might think that you, as me, I'm Egyptian by origin, but I was born and raised in the West. I'm a Western Muslim. I'm not a Muslim lost in the West. I'm a Western Muslim trying to find my way. And your children and the next generations, what we have to think is how we could be able to give them the education, helping them to be at the same time completely and fully Muslims and completely and fully Western. And if this is the objective, and if this is the philosophy behind the whole process, so in fact, not only I'm not against the principle, but I would promote and work for it. And this is what I got from the philosophy of this project and some other schools, to tell you the truth. I met some other people and visited other projects where I can see now that the philosophy, understanding, and objectives are moving. So the starting point is not to be overprotective, but to be deep in our understanding of what is our project when it comes to dealing with this. Now, my first point will be this one. We keep on repeating education is essential, and we all know this is something which is from the very beginning of Islam, and we keep on repeating that the first verse that was revealed is بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And what is important in the first verse is not that it's read in the name of your Lord that created you. It's not this. Is the relationship between someone who is saying, I can't read. I can't read. This is, he said it twice, and the third time, and then he was able, اقرأ باسم ربك. What does it mean? Is it only to value knowledge? No. It's not to value knowledge. If اقرأ باسم ربك is know in the name of the meaning of knowledge. It's not only to know, it's to know for the sake of him, through him, by him, and in order to serve him. So it means that knowledge is not worship as knowledge. It's the very essence of knowledge. It's باسم ربك, by his name, through his name, beginning with his name. And what does it mean to begin with his name and to know in the light of his power? Is all your knowledge should be to serve the principles that will be or help you to be close to him. So it's knowledge, and from the very understanding is باسم ربك mean العلم والفهم. العلم, which is knowledge, والفهم, which is understanding. So this is what he got, and he kept on repeating, I don't know how to read, but with his power you can, and to serve his power you should. And this is your duty. So the very beginning of Islam, we keep on saying this, and this is essential, yes. There is no humanity. There is no human beings where there is no education. The very essence of education means to humanize humanity. It's to spiritualize nature. No, we are not following anyone who is telling us it's natural, it's good. No, it's natural, it might be good, it might be bad. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. If you purify, if you work on it, it's going to be good. If you follow the dark side, it can be bad. So it's all about education. It's all about the process where your humanity will be based on the way you educate yourself, you educate your mind, you educate your heart, you educate your whole self. And the very meaning of education in Islam is not only to educate your mind, it's to educate your mind, your heart, your body, your behavior. Education is both. Is the way you think and the way you act in the light of what you think. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. So the starting point of our understanding should be deep. The philosophy of education and Islamic education in the West should be quite deep. It's not only to cope with our kids, to give them some things to know by heart. I remember my teacher when I was in Egypt. And he was my teacher in Quran, and he was telling me, what? When I was young, I learned and I knew the Quran by heart, and now I'm trying to understand it with my heart. So if you know it by heart, you are like a book. If you know it with your heart, you are light. and there are some books with no light. But there will be no light without the knowledge. That's for sure. So the type of knowledge, the nature, the substance, it's important here. And this is the starting point of our understanding. Now, all this is good, and you can sit down and say, wow, this is good. I like what he's saying. But it's as if when we talk like this, we are far from reality, and it might be a dream, it might be hopes and vision for the future. Now we have to be very realistic. You know who are the best teachers? Remember who were the best teachers that you had when you were young. The best teachers are not people who are talking high when you are feeling low. They are coming at your level and helping you to think high, but coming and starting with from where you are. So it means Islamic education, and the way we have to deal with education is to be very humble because we are realistic. Let us put it as it is. To be a Muslim woman and to be a Muslim man in our contemporary world is difficult. It's not easy. So to face the reality of this complex and difficult situation, and I'm not at all idealizing Muslim majority countries versus the states. In Muslim majority countries, it's difficult to be a good Muslim. It's not because you hear 5 times Fidel Azan that is going to make it. This is emotional. This is not spiritual. To be spiritually committed is difficult, and we have to deal with this. Why I'm saying this is that when we see our children, when we see kids struggling, when we know beforehand that it's difficult, we give them and we welcome them with a sense of what you are experiencing is natural. Don't feel guilty of experiencing what you are experiencing. Because the way we look at our own mistakes and our own failures sometimes in our life, we are nurturing a sense of guilt which is not the essence of Islam. The essence of Islam is you are not perfect, know it. It's going to be difficult, know it. Now do what you can to be better, which is the very meaning of jihad. Jihad is to resist and to reform, but the starting point is be realistic with yourself. Look at your qualities, face your weaknesses, and try your best. But not with a sense of guilt. No education based on sense of guilt, that what I'm feeling naturally is wrong. No, it's natural. This is it. This is life. Now, face the difficulty and try to start with this in a positive way. So, very often when we are protective, we have a sense that we are good, they are bad. What is outside is not good. Let us come within and we will find something which is good. And in fact, we tend to have a schizophrenic attitudes towards education. And we have kids that are very good in front of us, lost when they are not among us. And that's not the way to educate. It's too easy to be strong when they are here and weak when they are not here. What is important is to make them strong here to be able to be strong when we are not here. Not during an evening, but during life. A project of life is be strong. But strong means, what does it mean to be strong? To avoid your weaknesses? No. To acknowledge them. To acknowledge that you can be weak is strength. To acknowledge that you can be lost is the way you know that there is a way. The fact that you know that you can be lost means you know that somewhere there is a way to follow. And this is the way we have to equip ourselves and to equip our children with the means to know how to deal. And the starting point is it's complex, it's difficult, and this is why when it's complex and difficult, we need to listen, we need to talk. The way the Prophet ﷺ was dealing with he's a messenger. What does it mean to be a messenger? Is that you've come with a message. And still he came with a message and he was the first to listen. Come, talk. And they were talking to him. Talking to him about what? About the fact that they were angels? No. Talking to him because they are human beings. An Islamic school is based on this. Communication, no sense of guilt, talk about your nature, I will give you the spiritual answer. But not with a sense of guilt, just with communication. This is a space in our contemporary world where we are able to talk, to communicate, to be listened, and to speak without being judged, which is the exact opposite of what we feel within the Muslim communities today. A community of judges much more than a community of brothers and sisters. So this is where in the school we have, the way we protect them is not with an us versus them, but with a space where you can talk, when there is something which is dealing with the complexities, dealing with the tensions, dealing with the spiritual dimension, and dealing with the fact that, yes, we acknowledge the fact that there is something that we want to achieve and it's going to be difficult. Now, my talk, it's articulate in two sides when it comes to this project. What we need now. Having said that, this is the upstream, up to the line philosophy or educational philosophy that we have to promote, understanding the way the Prophet ﷺ, because when we come back to, don't come to try to get a philosophy of education in Islam, don't come to the ahadith and to some verses of the Quran. That's not it. It's coming from a surah. It's the Prophet biography. This is where you will get the philosophy. This is where we'll get the kind of pedagogy. This is what we'll get someone who is patient. This is what sometimes we will see that the Prophet ﷺ, he was not always patient and kind. That's not true. Sometimes he was strict. This is it. And we know that we need that. Didn't you need, when you were young, someone to tell you, there is a limit here. Don't talk like this. I'm ready to listen to what you have to say, but stop it now. When you say to your kid, or to your daughter or your son, and I said daughter and son, equal treatment. Equal treatment not only in the way they read the Quran, but sometimes in the way they clean up. If they clean up your home. Equal treatment in everything. When you make them understand, you know what? When I'm asking you to come at 5 o'clock, and I'm waiting for you, I'm going to be very strict with the 5 o'clock, but what does it mean in fact? Think about it. What does it mean at 5 o'clock I'm waiting for you? What does it mean? It means that I'm educating you, never to forget that there is someone who is waiting for you, and waiting for you means I love you. My strictness is out of love, which is the meaning of taqwa. It's not, fear of God. No, taqwa is not this. It's loving reverence towards God. This is a taqwa, which is we revere with love. But when I say 5 o'clock, it means 5 o'clock. It's an act of love, and then you talk to them and to tell them, how many children are not waited for in this world. They can do whatever they want. Drugs, violence, marginalized. No one is waiting for them. If I'm not happy with your marks, I love you. So many have nobody to tell them, what are you doing? So the way we are strict, the way the Prophet ﷺ was, with sometimes being very tough, was not something which is because I want to impose my power, but I want to share my love. I love you. 4 o'clock. You get that? And we need that. This is education. This is you will be a wall, but this wall is helping you to come back to yourself and to think about it. So this is the philosophy that we can get from a Sirah Nabawiyah. The Prophet ﷺ, the way he was with the people, the way he was with his daughter standing up when she was to come, Fatima Zahra, to send a message to all the Arabs, get it right. Your culture, which is not respecting your daughter, now in the name of Islam, you better change that. I'm standing up when my daughter comes. This is my religion. There is no fatwa, but there is education. And sometimes you should make fatwa out of this. The point here is to get this philosophy, and then we come to our challenges here. And there is something which I think we need to get in our understanding of our presence as American Muslims, Western Muslims. The first is really something that I heard this evening, and I keep on repeating. In the same book, I was talking about the third stage of our presence as Western Muslims. And what we need today is to institutionalize our presence, to get institutions. And institutions mean that we have a project, we have a vision, but yes, we need social centers, we need mosques, and this was the first stage. We have Muslim organizations, the second stage. Now we need schools and we need institutions that are translating in an institutionalized way our presence. We should become, and this is the second point, with institutions we need to promote professionalism. And professionalism means, you know, the way sometimes some people are teaching Arabic. You know Arabic? Okay, teach Arabic. Yes, but you are not a teacher. And sometimes we ask people, because they know the language, to become teacher. But teaching Arabic doesn't mean that you know Arabic. It's that you know what it means to be a teacher. Because a bad teacher with a good Arabic or good Arabic skills could destroy the language itself. And it happened. The Arabs for this are the first to be, they are very, very professional in destroying the teaching of Arabic. Because we are not making it the right way. But now we are improving. And this was the first year. You know Arabic, you do this. You know this, you do. So because you know, we think that you are going to transmit this the right way, which is not the case. Professionalism is coming from the very essence of what the Prophet ﷺ said. Allah yuhibbu idha amala ahadukum amalan an yutqina. El-itqan. El-itqan means to get the good comment, control, to know, to master what you are doing. And with an institution, we cannot just have an institution where we are doing this and with no professionalism. We need professional, and we need teachers, we need head teachers, we need people who are dealing with something which is important in our schools. Any school today who has not something which is a social support, a psychological support, is not making the right job today. We need in our schools people who are ready to listen. So it's not only the imam. There are people who are trained to listen to some of the problems and coming from within our tradition and living in our societies. They get the situation. An imam could not be the right person. We need people to be trained to do this. And it's as if, oh, you have a problem? Go and see the imam. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's not the point. Sometimes we have very deep psychological problems. It's very difficult for some to talk about, for example, the relationship they have with their parents. Who in the school should I go to talk to about my personal problems in this society? We have to think about this. This is an institution with all these dimensions. And we have to think about it. And when I see the way, you know, this project is coming, and now expanding 10 years and step by step, I think that this is the way. But we should improve and improve and improve and get all these dimensions are very important in our understanding of what professionalism is. So institutionalization, a school, a project like this that you are supporting, it's important. And the second is professionalism, which is the direct consequence. You heard, of course, about Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam. And when he stopped singing, he said, no, that's not for me. Now, alhamdulillah, he's coming back, and I think he's doing the right thing. Because when you have, okay, that's not the topic. I'll come to this. But he's good. It's good that he's coming, but he was involved during more than 20 years in schools, and he, you know, Islamiyya in the UK, you heard about the Islamic schools that he had. And in fact, he was thinking about this as a parent, as a father, with his wife, and they started Al Islamiyah, and this was for his daughters and sons, and he started the project. And after 20 years, and when we were talking about this, he told me something which is, institutionalization he did, professionalism he was asking, and sometimes he had a problem. He told me even, when we didn't have money, because the first years in Britain, you didn't have money or support from the government. You have to show that it works to get the money. He said, when I was struggling with the teachers, they were very committed, and when we got the money from the state, they started changing their attitude. So he had the first problem as to the first step of institutionalization. He told me after 20 years, you know what is my main problem in the Islamic school? I say, we get the students for 7 hours or 6 hours a day. And when they leave school, they go back home. The first problem that I have, and the main problem that I have, is not the students, it's not the teachers, it's the parents. You. And there is no school which is based on our principles, which is an institution with professionals, that is not thinking about the relationship and the deep relationship between the teachers, the school, and the parents. Any one of you who is sending his daughter and his son to the school and thinking, it's an Islamic school, I did my job, I pay, I'm sorry. This is not the way. This cannot be the way. And no, I don't know who you are clapping for. This is serious. And I have a special fatwa, no clapping, just thinking when we are. No, it's a serious thing here. Because it's good to have your kids and your sons and daughters, but the relationship with the teachers, the relationship with the school, to be involved, to have a council of parents and fathers and mothers. I'm not talking about the mothers only. And not only about the fathers when things go wrong, because this is the way we have the authority. Okay, the next time it's your father who is going to school. As if he's the authority, I'm flexible. No, I think that in the way we deal with our kids, it's very important. One of the main problems of our educations and instructions in the West, as if now it is in the Muslim majority countries. The psychologists, the way they are dealing with it's a deep problem, but we cannot just say it's the West, it's us now. If we are Western Muslims, you have to face it. In our education, there is something which is called the absent father. He is not here, and he is not in the whole process. Education is not 7 hours a day. Education is the way you deal with the computer, is the way you deal with television, is the way you deal with music, is the way you deal with entertainment. All this is education, and all this is not to come. The people, some Muslims, they don't like formalism, but they react to formalism in a way which is completely scattered. There is no philosophy. They don't like the scholars who are telling him haram, 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 haram. They say, oh, everything is haram. So don't tell me it's haram. Don't tell me it's not haram. Okay, I'm not going to tell you it's not haram. And then, okay, if it's not haram, okay, leave it. There is no understanding that if it's not haram in itself, it means that it's more responsibility for you. Because if I come home and say everything is haram, it's okay, it's over. But if we agree on the fact it's not haram, it means it has to be managed. It has to be thought. It has to be, how do you deal with entertainment? How do you deal with things that you are watching on TV? How do you deal with the time you are taking just to watch TV? This is a great responsibility. Television is not haram. But if it is halal, it's halal with limits. Who is going to set the limits? How are you going to deal with this? So this is what the parents, if we want the project, it's very important, is the way there is a link between school, home, and real life. How do you harmonize all this? Not to be good Muslims during 7 hours, hidden son or daughter during the time at home, and lost afterward in society. This is also something that we have to think about, and the relationship with the parents is something that I think it's important. And as I heard and as I see you here supporting this, and the way I heard about the school is something that is a dimension which is important. And then, of course, the objectives, as I heard, is to be at the same time good Muslims and to remain faithful to our principles, our legacy, our memory, the principles of Islam, and at the same time to deal with the Western, the American environment. This is an objective, but this has to be assessed. It has to be assessed. You know, there is something in education which is also always based on objectives, and then you have evaluation. What have we done? And then after 10 years, what we can see now, it's working, the project is a good project, and it has to evolve, and this is why you are here tonight. But then this has to be pushed and pushed more to become what? We want pilot project. We want this school to be one, and then we have many others with the same philosophy, the same understanding, and we have to assess this, and you have to be part of the assessment as people who are supporting. Please don't be with schools and don't be with your kids, just people who are giving money. I was involved in so many solidarity work, and we were asking for money, and at one point we stopped by saying, no, to give money without understanding why you give money, that's not the real understanding. This is why we have zakat in Islam. Zakat is telling you you have to give 2.5% of what you have in your way you deal with Allah, meaning you need to get it right. You need to understand what you give. It's an obligation because it's the rights of the poor. So there is a very deep understanding. Don't give with your hand what your heart doesn't feel and what your mind doesn't understand. Don't give with just to make it a solidarity. No, we have to have a deep understanding of what you are doing. So it's the same with education. You should be involved, support with your money, share with your mind, and open your heart for a project which has to do with our future in this society. Our society, your society here in the US. So the last thing that I wanted to say, so this is the structure, institutionalization, professionalism, the relationship with the parents, and dealing with clear objectives. Now, as to the substance also, and this is also the way which has to do with this excellence that we are talking about. It's all about al-ihsan. It's all about the way we are dealing with God and the way we are dealing with ourselves. So, as I said, al-ihsan is a goal. No one here can say, I am 100% min al-muhsinin. I got it. I am at the level. No, no one. We are all trying, and you are all struggling. We are all students at the end of the day, and we are all trying our best. Now, in our education, if we think about a school, is it a school which is going to compete with what is done by the other schools in the state? So we are in a state of competition and that's it? Or do we think about an institution, about a project which is in itself a contribution not only for Muslims but a contribution for the society? The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith quoted by al-Bayhaqi, the best among you is the best for humanity. So our presence in our schools should be a contribution for us as much as it's a contribution for all of us. So this perception that we contribute for us and we forget about them, that's wrong. What we do for us at the end should be done for all. This is the way we deal with our environment. If I'm good with the Muslims, I have in mind what is good for the Muslims should be good for humanity. So my understanding here is the contribution. And it's important in the schools, the state school system that we have in the United States of America, that people are putting money, and now you have transnational corporations putting money in education because they want something. Don't think it's a free contribution. They want something, and what do they want is efficiency, get the knowledge, and be efficient. We are not coming with this mentality. We are not going with this mindset. Yes, we need to be efficient, but we need to be human beings. We need to have values. We have a principled education, and our Our contribution to this society is, if you are putting money for the sake of efficiency, we are putting money for the sake of humanity. This is the way we are dealing with education. No, it's a big business. Just don't clap and make it. Just make it real in our family, in our life. How are we going to translate this institution into something which is for the sake of humanity? And the first is, in anything that we are teaching, and we are starting with this, with everything that we are teaching coming from the Islamic background, never, never, never give one obligation, one prohibition, one duty, one thing that you have to do without trying to give the explanation, the meaning. Why am I going to do this? No, we can't start teaching Islam, and especially in the West, by do it, waskut. Don't talk. Don't ask, this is, sami'na wa ata'na. Yes, but sami'na wa ata'na, we heard and we obey, is a state where you understand that at some point you don't ask the question. But children, they start with questions. Teachers, they start by listening to the questions and responding and giving the meaning of things. So we need to listen and we have to share the meaning. And as I said, al-ilm wal-fahm is something which is part of the way we deal with our education as Muslim. And having said this, it's not only that we teach what is coming from our religion. You know, to have 1 hour when we teach Quran during the week, and 1 hour when we teach Arabic, that's normal because we have to organize the timetable and everything. But in fact, everything which has to do with our principles should be crossing all the disciplines. In one way, you don't talk always about Islam, but the principles should be everywhere. And you need to do this with everything. We need to teach, of course, the history of the United States of America. We need to talk the reality of this society. It's the two knowledges should be together, but not in a way which we just repeat what is done in other schools. We add to this the deep understanding, the dimension of humanity, to make it a human reality. It's to put the principles everywhere. I'm sorry, I'm not going to teach Quran. This is Quran 1 hour a week. Or 1 hour a day, and this is the Quran. And then you got it by heart, and then forget about the implication. No, make the principles, irradiate the whole way of dealing with. So this is a contribution. It's the way we are teaching meaning, and we are teaching humanity in everything. This is the contribution of what I call an Islamic school, or a school based on our principles that in the West are shared with many, many, other traditions. I'm talking like this. I'm talking like this to people who are people of other faiths, people who are atheists or agnostic. And when they listen, say, yes, just say it to Muslims. Not only to Muslims. Say it to everyone. Everyone should listen to this because we all are facing this crisis. That now, even the states are not putting enough money for schools. They are waiting for transnational cooperation to do the job, even in universities. And we end up with students being indebted because they don't know how to pay their schools. That's just crazy, the way it goes now. So if you come with an Islamic school, with something which is an institution, come with a philosophy. Come, this is what we want with our dimension. And then the third thing, in academia, we think that you need to be very rationalistic. We have to be scientific, teaching, and this is academia. We don't have to speak about heart. Please reconcile our teaching in our school with things that have to do with the deep understanding of our spiritual life. In Islam, it's not only a mind and a body. There is something that is called al-qalb, heart, that you have to give and to give this attention to this. How to do this? So the way you deal with prayer, what is to open the heart? To open the heart is to talk about, something which is the relation. We need to bring this into our schools. The day we deal with your parents, the way you deal with your brothers and sisters in humanity, the way you deal with the poor people, the way you show solidarity. Don't make spirituality spirituality is going to come to the hearts of the young people by the way you talk about human beings and loving animals, loving nature, loving, this is the way it started in Islam. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ. It's all about nature. Open your heart. Are we teaching this? Are we doing the job in the middle of the United States of America? And when you are in California, you have to do it much more even. You are blessed with this environment, and this is why you open the heart. This is spirituality. This is spirituality. To be able in our schools to have this kind of relationship and to say, be careful. There is no way you are going to please God if you don't please your parents. But be careful as well. To please your parents is not to blindly respect what they say. Is to listen. You agree? Yes. You disagree? You are able to say it. You are able to express it. And if they say something wrong, you should be able to correct it. And this is coming from Luqman. وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If they are imposing into you something which is unjust, don't obey. Are you ready for that? Exactly the same. You read the Quran wrong, they will correct. You say something wrong, they should be able to face you and to tell you. This is the way we have. This is spirituality, by the way. Spirituality is about courage, by the way. It's not only about prostrating and no, spirituality is to have a free heart and a free mind. This is our spirituality, and I think that this is the substance of what we have also to share. And the last point that I wanted to add with all this is, what means in our religion, and especially here in the West, we have to think about it. Al-Mukallaf is when you reach the age of reason and you have to pray and you have to fast. There is something which is now you have to be autonomous. And the very essence of education is this. I go along with you up to the point that you are going to be alone without me. I'm with you, and then one day you will be without me. But I'm going to equip you to be able to go without me. My presence with you up to here is just to give you the means, just to go. But I have to give you the means. This school is about giving the means. This is how we make them autonomous. And to make them autonomous is, in our schools, make it clear that we are celebrating critical thinking. There is no wrong question. There are wrong attitudes as to the questions, but there is no wrong question. Go ahead, ask. But what they get in school, we should try to get it in mosques and at home. So the whole thing should be consistent. And this is also something that we have to get in our way of dealing with education, is this critical thinking and this confidence, because it's also important. How are they going to get this confidence? It's good to celebrate the legacy and the heritage. It's very good to be able to learn Arabic, other languages. And by the way, don't make them American to the point that they know English and nothing else. Because the problem with many Americans when they travel around the world is that they only speak English. Let's say American. But the point is that your contribution is many languages. Celebrate languages. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ. From his signs is the fact that there are many languages, so promote this. Make Arabic a positive thing. But at the same time, they are American citizens and they should get in our schools the best common of English at the highest level. And how do you get this language? Only by reading? No. You need to help them to get literature, poetry, even music. Let's put it that way, halal music. They have to get that. Because, the first book that I got after the Quran from my parents was what? A book of French literature and poetry. I will never forget this, that the first book that I got by my mother, Hafidhahullah, was Alfred de Musset, Poésie. Poetry. Telling me what? Be confident with your language. Love it. You know why? It's beautiful. So we have to celebrate this. And with this is the good comment of the language. You will get it more and more if you are creative with the language. Creative means use your imagination to translate with the language your emotions. You will not be true American Muslims if you are Muslims by principles entering the country and being Muslims without emotion far from the narrative of the country. Emotions and literature and all this is part of that. Our schools should celebrate this more and more. We should help our kids to read books more and not only Islamic books. And by the way, what is the definition of Islamic books? Books written by Muslims for Muslims about an Islamic topic? Is it not an Islamic book when it's about humanity? It's not an Islamic book when it's about nature. It's not an Islamic book when it's about science. Everything which is good is Islamic. So make it like this. Open up. Open up. And in our libraries and in our bookshops, Islamic bookshops, have all the books that are dealing with good things, not only by Muslims, for Muslims, published by Muslim publishers. So this is what our schools should fit, and this is the philosophy. Why I'm saying all this? Because this institution is not only a small school and a small project. This is something that has to be a light for all these dimensions. An institution that has an impact on the mosque, an impact on our readings, an impact on our literature, an impact on our creativity. And this is the way we will deal with our student. And as I said, creativity, it's important. In the book, What I Believe, I'm talking about the 7 C's. 2 of the C's is communication and creativity. There is another point that I wanted to make here is a school. And this is why I'm very happy that I saw this evening, and this is, I think we have to promote, is within the school, and as to the connection between the schools and the society, we should promote something which is essential in our education. Educate yourself and serve the others. And you know that this is in the Sufi tradition, it's very important. Some of the people who are trying to follow an educator and say, I want to follow you, and say, okay, go now and serve the poor people. And if you listen to the Prophet ﷺ say, Allahumma nas'aluka hubb al-masakin. We are asking you to be loved by the poor and to love the poor people. And a school should be a space where our children should get this, serve the people. But serve the people means be careful yourself with the way you are with your children. And I'm talking as a father, I was facing the same challenge. Sometimes you think about your daughter, you think about your son, and you think about the others, and you want to protect them from the bad behavior of others. And we want them to be the first. In the school, it's important for us to say, okay, try to be the first, never forget the people who have more difficulty. Give, show, care about them. So this is a philosophy also which is important in the school. Solidarity within. Solidarity within is for the teachers, for us, to get this, that sometimes it's not easy to get to the school, it's expensive, or it's difficult because some have problems and family problems. Solidarity within is important. And then solidarity with outside means that an Islamic school should show solidarity not only for Muslims within the community, but all the people around, all the poor people, all the people who are in need. Why don't you at the forefront of something which is unacceptable in your country? You American Muslims, you are living in a society where even though you have the first African American who is the president today, you are still facing racism. Why don't we, as institutions and Islamic institutions, are at the forefront of anything which has to do about the right jihad that we have to launch, which is a jihad against racism in this country? Latinos are treated in a way which is not acceptable. African Americans are treated in a way which is not acceptable. the discourse, what is coming from within the school, know the history of this country, and be the driving force for equality, solidarity, and no racism. We don't accept this. But make it clear in your life, make it clear in your family, make it clear in school that we have struggled. So we need to see poverty could be something. It's also something which is in our schools. Don't wait for the people to say, you know, you Muslims who have a problem with women. And I say, no, Islam is good. We don't have a problem with women. Yes, we have. So let our schools show how much there is equality, and that when our sisters, where our girls are educated today, statistically speaking, they are doing better than men. So let's give them also this space where women are visible. Our best answer to what is said about women are, the best answers are our schools and the way they are going to at the forefront, and we are visible. Make it this possible. So this is also a philosophy that we have in our schools, not just to respond by words, but to respond by actions, institutions, and new visibility. So having said all this, and these are important points from the philosophy, the institution, to the substance. My conclusion would be three things that I want to say. Is, with this institution and coming to what I see, what I'm happy to support here is something which is behind the whole philosophy of this project, New Horizons, and the whole philosophy is, it shouldn't be a school for Muslims, it should be a school with Islamic principles open for all. Of course, today, don't dream, you're not going to get many students coming from other backgrounds. You know how negative is the image, but it takes time. And you will get it because you, for example, in the UK and in Sweden, for example, we have non-Muslim students coming because the schools are high quality, open, strict where they should be strict, open where it should be open, and contributing to the society. Contribution is important, and this is the second point. Don't think about integrating. Just say to the people around you, integration is over. Now, our main task is our contribution. What do we give to this society? And what do we give to this society is coming back to the principles, coming back to the spirit, coming back to the very essence of education, is coming back to, yes, to efficiency, but more and more humanity. To humanize the way we educate our children is something that we want to do. And let me say something which it's important also, and it's the last point. To be educated, and as I said, it's the way towards autonomy. For parents and for teachers, we are going along our students and to the point they can go alone. What does it mean to go alone? What do we want to achieve as an objective? To think by yourself, and I remind you of what the French intellectuals said once, I'm teaching you not to think like me, but to think without me. So my presence is to help you to think without me, not like me. So to think, to behave the best way, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, to try to do the best, is to get a good comment, الْإِتْقَانِ, this is what you have to do. It's to protect dignity. وَلَقَدْ قَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. It's to protect the dignity. But to get the knowledge, and to get useful knowledge, to get the knowledge, بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ, as I said at the beginning, in the name of God. In the name of God, you know, it means give knowledge to your knowledge a meaning, a substance, to be useful for humanity. All this we know. There is something that we also have to say. It's coming from confidence, and it's coming from this relationship between the substance and our presence here and our contribution. We also have to remember something in our schools. You know what is the secret of the teaching and the way the Prophet ﷺ was educating the people? Is that they had something which is very, very deep in all of them. It's a secret that is giving you not the knowledge, but the quality of knowledge. They have something that we can call in our language today intellectual humility. Intellectual humility is, I always have to learn. I don't get it all. You know, and in the book that I wrote on the Prophet ﷺ, I explained this with the first revelations. اقرأ باسم ربك, the knowledge you have to know. And then the fourth revelation is Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. And Noon, what does it mean? We don't know. Up to now, no one has the secret of Noon, Alif Lam Mim, we don't know. Meaning that knowledge has to be celebrated, ignorance should be acknowledged. This is intellectual humility. You are in between, I don't know, which was said by Socrates, I know that I know nothing. So this intellectual humility, it's important. Why? Because it gives you a state where you should always learn. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ is based on this intellectual humility. We made you tribes and nations in order for you to know each other. When do you want to know the other? When you acknowledge the fact that you don't know everything. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا means you don't get it all. Be humble with your knowledge. But there is the other secret. Humility as to what you know, but courage as what you have to stand for. Our schools should be places where we teach humility and courage. Because what is lacking in our community and in our world now, you can sit down and say, all these leaders, they don't know what to do. We lack leadership in the Muslim community. I would tell you something which is deep in what I see in our community. We lack courage, courageous people. People who are humble as to their knowledge, but when there are principles to be protected, they stand up and say no. Because our future is not only about getting knowledge and being integrated and making money. Because with money and no courage, we are lost. But with no money and courage, we are there. Ask yourself, how are you teaching? What kind of education you give to your kids? Courage, be courageous, or make money? Because it can be that by making money, they will lose courage. Because you don't have to show courage to make money. Keep quiet, shut up, and do what they are asking you to do. This is not the education that comes from the Prophet ﷺ. Very humble, very humble. But when there are, someone who, because one woman was, they showed disrespect to one woman. He said to one army, now we go for one woman. Now we see so many things and we keep quiet. So I'm not saying that we need to nurture revolutionary minds. I'm not saying it, but I think about it, by the way. I would say what we need to nurture is a sense of being proud, not as I saw it just after September the 11th when I went to one convention when we have a stamp, proud to be Muslim. I'm sorry, you don't put it on your heart. Proud to be Muslim is a light from within. No stamp, but dignity. Proud, confidence. I think that this is important in our education. This is the way the Prophet ﷺ was. Be very humble, serve the poor. But when the powerful are disrespecting you, stand up. Are we teaching this? This is our contribution. Don't make them coward Americans. Make them proud American Muslim. Proud meaning I'm going to be with my country, but if my country is doing wrong from within, for the sake of my country, I should stand up. I should be vocal. This is a way to educate. You might think it's far. No, it starts very young. Speak your mind. Let them speak their mind. Intellectual humility and courage are the two qualities I would celebrate as something which is our contribution from and with and through our schools. Wallahu a'lam wa a'la wa ahkam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you for that enlightening talk, Dr. Tariq. And I know everybody's antsy to get going, but we just have a few more minutes if you could just bear with me right now. I know I speak on behalf of all of us when I say that it is an honor to have you, Dr. Tariq Ramadan, and may we all continue to be intellectually humble and courageous in all our endeavors, inshallah.